Tips for giving feedback to a colleague who takes feedback personally. So I'm going to make an assumption here that this person gets defensive, that they shut down the conversation, that it makes the conversation really awkward, really tricky. And I will just say to you, Anonymous, this is a very, very common problem. And so a couple of things you can do if you're trying to give feedback to a team member and they consistently get defensive, they consistently take things personally, well, there's a couple of really practical strategies. The first one is a technique called framing. And framing, so imagine if you have gone to see the Mona Lisa, like if you've gone to the Louvre, you've gone to see the Mona Lisa, and you go into the little spot where the Mona Lisa is situated. And if you've been there, you'll know it's actually really small. I don't know how, is it I feel like it's like an A4 piece of paper size. It's not big. When you walk in there, around the outside of the artwork is a frame. And the frame is beautiful and quite noticeable. You don't go to see the frame though. You go to see the artwork. That's what your attention needs to be focused on. But the frame is something that holds the artwork together. It kind of positions and focuses your attention on the right thing. And so when you're thinking about a conversation, framing is a technique that you use to position the conversation in the right spot. So for example, if I was to have a conversation with someone and give them feedback, I'm not just going to dive straight in and go, hey, Ryan is our producer in the corner of this room right now. I wouldn't go, hey, Ryan, that really sucked what happened there. I would actually lead in and use framing as a technique. And I'd say, hey, Ryan, I was just thinking about that podcast episode the other day. Do you reckon we could have a chat because I've got some ideas? Now, that is the concept of framing. It's the thing you say before the main message. So let's go back to the Mona Lisa. We go to see the artwork. We don't go to see the frame, but the frame holds it all together. And it positions our attention on the right thing. So me framing that, it's just like a little one-liner almost to Ryan before I give him any feedback. What that does is it focuses his attention on the right thing. It also lowers defensiveness because we give someone context about what the conversation is about. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to use framing first as a technique. One strategy from my amazing friend, Shane Hatton, and longtime listeners of the pod will know Shane. He's been on here many times. He has this beautiful one-liner, a technique that he uses, which is, hey, is it okay if I give you this feedback in a clumsy way? And what he's essentially doing by framing the feedback in that way is he's giving himself permission to stuff it up, to not be perfect. And what that can do, that vulnerability up front, can lower, again, someone's defenses. So these strategies help you kick off that conversation, really important. The other thing I would do if you're finding someone gets, they tend to take things personally, we've got to make the feedback about the problem, not the person. So language that can get people on the back foot would be you always, you never. And when it feels like a targeted kind of delivery of feedback versus, hey, I noticed in this conversation last week you didn't seem yourself. Do you reckon we could talk about it? And you can hear the difference between the you language and the I language. I noticed versus you did, or you always, or you never. So I want you to think about steering away from absolute statements. Absolute statements really do get people on the defensive, and looking for those observations. So what did you observe? Think about the behavior and try to separate the behavior from the person. And I know it's hard because sometimes it can feel inherently personal. Like if someone shows up to a meeting and they're just in a bad mood all the time. And you're like, well, that is you as a person. You as a person are in a bad mood. I get that. I think it's really worthwhile that we go, okay, what is it about how they're showing up? Are their energy levels low? Maybe they've had a terrible night's sleep because their kids have got up 6 times or something. I don't know, but I want you to try and think about what context might be influencing that behavior as well, because that can just give you some of that empathy for that person before you go in. One final thing I will say on the idea of dealing with someone